Most people are looking for the magic formula, the secret sauce, the one big breakthrough that's going to change everything overnight. But I'm here to tell you something that might surprise you. There is no magic. There are no shortcuts. There is only the power of doing the right things day after day, week after week, month after month, until those small actions compound into extraordinary results. Now, I've spent decades studying successful people, and I've noticed something fascinating. The people who achieve the most aren't necessarily the most gifted. They're not always the smartest or the most charismatic. But they all share one common trait. They've mastered the art of consistency. They've learned how to keep going when others quit. They've discovered how to maintain their momentum when the winds of adversity are blowing against them. Today, I'm going to share with you 10 secrets that will help you develop this same power of consistency. These aren't just theories or nice-sounding philosophies. These are practical, proven principles that have worked for thousands of successful people throughout history. And if you'll apply them in your own life, they'll work for you too. The first secret is this: you must understand that consistency is not about perfection. Let me say that again because it's crucial. Consistency is not about perfection. Too many people think that to be consistent, they have to be perfect every single day. They think that if they miss one day, if they make one mistake, if they fall short of their ideal just once, then they failed and they might as well give up. This is a dangerous misconception that has derailed more dreams than any other single factor. Perfection is not the standard. Progress is the standard. Consistency means getting back up when you fall down. It means returning to your plan after you've been knocked off course. It means having the wisdom to know that setbacks are not failures. They're simply part of the journey. I remember a conversation I had with a successful entrepreneur who built a multi-million-dollar company from nothing. He told me that in the early days there were weeks when everything seemed to go wrong. Deals fell through, employees quit, customers complained, and creditors called. But every morning he would get up and do something, anything to move his business forward. Some days it was a big action, some days it was small. But he never let a day pass without taking some step toward his goal. That's the power of understanding that consistency is about persistence, not perfection. When you grasp this concept, you free yourself from the paralysis that comes from trying to be perfect. You give yourself permission to be human while still holding yourself to high standards. This brings us to the second secret. You must have crystal clear reasons why consistency matters to you. Not reasons that sound good to other people. Not reasons that look impressive on paper. Personal, emotional, compelling reasons that stir something deep within your soul. Most people fail at consistency because their why isn't strong enough. They have surface-level motivations that can't sustain them through the inevitable challenges and setbacks. They want to lose weight because it would be nice to look better. They want to build a business because it would be nice to have more money. They want to develop a skill because it would be nice to be more talented. But nice isn't enough. Nice won't get you out of bed on a cold morning when you don't feel like exercising. Nice won't keep you working on your business plan when your friends are out having fun. Nice won't sustain you through the months of practice required to master a new skill. You need reasons that make you uncomfortable not to be consistent. You need reasons that create an internal pressure so strong that consistency becomes easier than inconsistency. Maybe you want to be consistent with your health habits because you refuse to be a burden to your family in your later years. Maybe you want to be consistent with your business efforts because you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck and wondering if you'll have enough money for your children's education. Maybe you want to be consistent with your personal development because you know that who you become determines what you achieve and you're not willing to settle for less than your potential. When your reasons are powerful enough, consistency stops being a discipline you have to force yourself to maintain and becomes a natural expression of your values and priorities. The person with powerful enough reasons will find a way. The person without them will find excuses. The third secret is to start ridiculously small. This might be the most important piece of advice I can give you about building lasting consistency. Most people fail not because they don't try hard enough, but because they try too hard too fast. They set unrealistic expectations and then crash and burn when they can't maintain the impossible pace they've set for themselves. If you want to develop the habit of reading, don't commit to reading for 2 hours every day. Commit to reading 1 page. If you want to start exercising, don't plan to work out for 90 minutes every morning. Plan to do 10 push-ups. If you want to build a business, don't try to work on it for 6 hours every evening after your day job. Work on it for 15 minutes. I know what you're thinking. 1 page, 10 push-ups, 15 minutes. That's not going to create any meaningful results. And you're right if you look at it from a single day's perspective. But you're wrong if you look at it from the perspective of compound growth over time. 1 page a day is 7 pages a week, which is about 365 pages a year. That's more than most people read in 5 years. 10 push-ups a day will strengthen your chest, arms, and core more than most people achieve in their entire lives. 15 minutes a day working on your business is 91 hours per year of focused effort on building your future. But here's the real magic. Once you've established the habit of showing up consistently, even in a small way, it becomes much easier to gradually increase your effort. The person who reads 1 page every day for a month will naturally start reading 2 pages some days. The person who does 10 push-ups daily will eventually want to do 20. The person who works on their business for 15 minutes will find themselves working longer as their enthusiasm builds. Starting small removes the resistance that kills most attempts at consistency. It makes it almost impossible to fail, which builds confidence and momentum. And momentum, once established, tends to continue and grow. The fourth secret is to design your environment for success. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Let me repeat that because it's one of the most important principles of human behavior. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if your environment is working against you, you're fighting an uphill battle that you'll eventually lose. Successful people understand this principle and use it to their advantage. They don't rely on willpower alone. They structure their environment to make good choices easy and bad choices difficult. They remove temptations and obstacles, and they surround themselves with cues and triggers that remind them of their commitments. If you want to be consistent with healthy eating, you don't just rely on your willpower to resist junk food when you're hungry and stressed. You remove the junk food from your house entirely. You stock your kitchen with healthy options. You prepare healthy meals in advance so they're ready when you need them. You make the healthy choice the easy choice. If you want to be consistent with exercise, you don't just promise yourself you'll find time to work out. You lay out your workout clothes the night before. You schedule your exercise sessions like important appointments. You find a gym that's convenient to your home or office. You eliminate the friction that could prevent you from following through. If you want to be consistent with learning a new skill, you don't just hope you'll remember to practice. You set up a dedicated space for practice. You put your guitar in a stand where you'll see it every day instead of leaving it in its case. You put your books on your nightstand instead of buried on a shelf. You make it easier to practice than not to practice. The people around you are also part of your environment, and they have a tremendous influence on your consistency. If you're surrounded by people who don't value growth and improvement, who mock your efforts to better yourself, who tempt you to abandon your commitments, then you're making consistency much harder than it needs to be. Seek out people who share your values and support your goals. Join groups and communities where consistency and self-improvement are celebrated. Find mentors and role models who demonstrate the kind of consistency you want to develop. Distance yourself from people who drag you down or encourage you to settle for less than your best. This leads us to the fifth secret. You must track your progress religiously. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. Most people underestimate the power of simply keeping track of their efforts and results. They think tracking is tedious or unnecessary, but they're missing one of the most powerful tools for maintaining consistency. When you track your progress, several important things happen. First, you become more aware of your actual behavior versus your intended behavior. It's easy to think you're being consistent when you're not actually measuring your actions. The simple act of recording what you do creates accountability and awareness that naturally leads to better choices. Second, tracking allows you to see patterns in your behavior. You might discover that you're more consistent on certain days of the week, or that your consistency drops when you're stressed at work, or that you perform better when you get enough sleep the night before. These insights allow you to adjust your approach and set yourself up for success. Third, tracking provides motivation through visual progress. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing a chain of successful days grow longer and longer. Many people find that once they have a streak going, they don't want to break it. The streak itself becomes a motivating factor that helps maintain consistency. Fourth, tracking helps you celebrate small wins along the way. When you can see the accumulation of your daily efforts, you're more likely to feel good about your progress and stay motivated for the long term. Without tracking, it's easy to focus only on how far you still have to go instead of appreciating how far you've already come. The method of tracking doesn't matter as much as the consistency of tracking. Some people prefer simple paper calendars where they mark an X for each successful day. Others use smartphone apps or spreadsheets. The key is to find a system that's easy for you to use and then use it every single day. Track the process, not just the outcomes. If your goal is to lose weight, track your daily food choices and exercise habits, not just the number on the scale. If your goal is to build a business, track the daily actions you take to move your business forward. not just your monthly revenue. Process metrics are within your control and provide immediate feedback, while outcome metrics can be influenced by factors beyond your control and may not show results for weeks or months. The sixth secret is to develop powerful routines and rituals. Consistency becomes much easier when it's built into automatic patterns of behavior rather than depending on daily decisions and willpower. The most successful people have strong routines that support their goals and eliminate the need to make the same decisions over and over again. A routine is a sequence of actions that you perform in the same way at the same time. A ritual is a routine that's been invested with meaning and importance. Both are powerful tools for creating consistency, but rituals are even more powerful because they connect your actions to your deeper values and identity. Think about the areas of your life where you're already consistent. I'm willing to bet that most of them involve routines you've established over years of repetition. You brush your teeth every morning without thinking about it. You check your email at regular times throughout the day. You follow the same general pattern when you get ready for work. These behaviors have become automatic, which is why they don't require willpower or motivation to maintain. You can harness this same power by deliberately creating routines around the behaviors you want to make consistent. If you want to exercise regularly, create a morning routine that includes your workout. If you want to read more, build reading time into your evening routine. If you want to work on your business, establish a routine for when and how you'll do that work. The key to building effective routines is to start simple and be patient. It takes time for a routine to become automatic, usually anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks, depending on the complexity of the behavior and your consistency in performing it. Don't try to create perfect routines right away. Start with basic patterns and refine them over time as they become more natural. Rituals take routines to the next level by adding meaning and ceremony to your actions. A ritual might involve taking a few moments before your workout to visualize your fitness goals and remind yourself why health is important to you. It might involve lighting a candle and playing specific music before you sit down to write. It might involve reviewing your business vision before you start working on your company. The specific elements of your rituals matter less than the consistency with which you perform them and the meaning they hold for you. The ritual creates a mental and emotional bridge between your ordinary mindset and the focused, purposeful mindset you need to perform at your best. This brings us to the seventh secret. You must learn to navigate obstacles without losing momentum. Obstacles are not the exception to the rule, they are the rule. Life will throw challenges at you constantly. There will be days when you're sick, stressed, overwhelmed, or discouraged. There will be external circumstances that disrupt your plans. There will be unexpected demands on your time and energy. Most people let these obstacles derail their consistency entirely. They use challenges as excuses to abandon their commitments. They tell themselves they'll get back on track when things settle down, when they feel better, when life gets easier. But successful people understand that life never gets easier. You just get stronger and more skilled at handling challenges. The key is to have strategies in place for maintaining some level of consistency, even when things aren't going perfectly. This might mean having scaled down versions of your normal activities that you can perform when time or energy is limited. Instead of your normal hour-long workout, you do 10 minutes of stretching. Instead of writing for your usual 30 minutes, you write for 5 minutes or even just write one sentence. The goal isn't to maintain your peak performance during difficult times. The goal is to maintain the habit, to keep the chain unbroken, to prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your circumstances. Often these minimal efforts during challenging times are more valuable than your best efforts during easy times, because they reinforce your identity as someone who keeps their commitments no matter what. It's also important to anticipate obstacles and plan for them in advance. If you know you have a busy period coming up at work, decide ahead of time how you'll maintain your important habits during that time. If you know you struggle with consistency when you travel, create a travel version of your routines. If you know you tend to abandon your goals when you face setbacks, have a plan for how you'll get back on track quickly. The eighth secret is to focus on systems rather than goals. Goals are important for setting direction, but systems are what actually create results. A goal is what you want to achieve. A system is the process that leads to that achievement. Goals are finite, systems are ongoing. Goals can be completed or failed, systems can be continuously improved. Most people are goal-focused, which leads to several problems. First, they tend to put off happiness and satisfaction until they reach their goal, which means they're unhappy most of the time since they're not at their destination yet. Second, they often lose motivation after achieving a goal because they haven't built the systems that would help them maintain their progress or set new challenges. Third, they're more likely to give up when they face setbacks because they're focused on the outcome rather than the process. System-focused people, on the other hand, find satisfaction in the process itself. They're proud of their consistency and the progress they're making each day, regardless of whether they've reached their ultimate destination yet. They're less likely to be derailed by setbacks because they understand that temporary failures are part of any good system. They're more likely to continue growing because their system can be applied to multiple goals over time. If your goal is to lose 20 pounds, your system might be to eat a healthy breakfast every day, walk for 30 minutes after work, and prepare nutritious meals on Sunday for the upcoming week. If your goal is to build a successful business, your system might be to contact 5 potential customers every day, read 1 article about your industry every morning, and review your progress every Friday afternoon. The beautiful thing about focusing on systems is that they virtually guarantee progress toward your goals, even if the timeline is different than you originally expected. If you follow a good system consistently, you will get results. You might not get them as quickly as you hope, and they might not look exactly like you imagined, but you will make progress. Systems also compound over time in ways that goals don't. Each day you follow your system, you're not just moving closer to your current goal, you're also building the habits, skills, and identity that will help you achieve bigger and better goals in the future. You're becoming the type of person who can accomplish whatever they set their mind to. The 9th secret is to understand and leverage the power of identity. Your consistency is ultimately determined by your identity. If you see yourself as someone who follows through on commitments, you'll find ways to be consistent. If you see yourself as someone who starts things but doesn't finish them, you'll unconsciously sabotage our own efforts to maintain consistency. Most people try to change their behavior without changing their identity, and this approach is doomed to fail in the long run. They want to lose weight, but still see themselves as someone who has poor eating habits. They want to build a business, but still see themselves as an employee rather than an entrepreneur. They want to become skilled at something, but still see themselves as someone who isn't naturally talented. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. When you show up consistently, even in small ways, you're casting votes for an identity as someone who keeps their commitments. When you skip your commitments, you're casting votes for an identity as someone who doesn't follow through. The question isn't whether you'll vote, you're always voting with your actions. The question is which identity you're voting for. The most powerful way to change your identity is through small, repeated actions that demonstrate the type of person you want to be. You don't need to make dramatic changes or achieve big results right away. You just need to consistently act in alignment with your desired identity. If you want to become someone who is physically fit, start by doing something active every day, even if it's just a 5-minute walk. Each time you exercise, you're proving to yourself that you're the type of person who prioritizes health and fitness. If you want to become someone who is financially successful, start by reading about money or investing for just 10 minutes a day. Each time you educate yourself about finances, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who takes control of their financial future. The identity shift doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen if you're patient and consistent. Eventually, your new behavior stops feeling forced or unnatural and start feeling like just who you are. At that point, consistency becomes effortless because you're not fighting against your identity, you're expressing it. This leads us to the 10th and final secret. You must learn to find joy in the process itself. This might be the most important secret of all because it's what makes consistency sustainable over the long term. If you can only find satisfaction in reaching your destination, you'll be miserable most of the time since you spend much more time traveling than arriving. People who maintain consistency over years and decades have learned to love the daily practice, not just the eventual results. They've learned to find meaning and satisfaction in the process of growth itself. They celebrate small improvements. They enjoy the feeling of discipline and self-mastery. They take pride in showing up even when they don't feel like it. This doesn't mean you have to love every moment or pretend that challenging activities are always fun. It means learning to appreciate the deeper satisfaction that comes from living according to your values and working toward meaningful goals. It means recognizing that the person you become through consistent effort is more valuable than any external achievement. There's a profound satisfaction in knowing that you can count on yourself. There's deep peace in knowing that you do what you say you're going to do. There's real joy in seeing yourself grow and improve over time. These internal rewards are available to you every single day if you choose to notice and appreciate them. When you find joy in the process, consistency stops being a burden and becomes a gift you give yourself. It stops being something you have to do and becomes something you get to do. This shift in perspective is often what separates people who maintain consistency for a few weeks or months from people who maintain it for years and decades. Now, as we come to the end of our time together, I want you to understand something important. These 10 secrets aren't just theories or ideas to think about. They're practical tools that require action to be effective. Knowledge without application is worthless. Understanding without implementation is just entertainment. The question isn't whether these principles work. They do work, and they've worked for countless people throughout history. The question is whether you'll work them. Will you start small and build momentum? Will you design your environment for success? Will you track your progress and celebrate your wins? Will you develop routines that support your goals? Will you focus on systems rather than just outcomes? Most importantly, will you begin today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel more motivated or when circumstances are perfect. Today, right now, with whatever you have, wherever you are, however you feel. Remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. The perfect plan executed inconsistently will never beat a good plan executed consistently. The person with average talent who shows up every day will always outperform the person with exceptional talent who shows up only when they feel like it. Your life is not determined by what happens to you. It's determined by how you respond to what happens to you. Consistency is the ultimate response to an unpredictable world. It's how you take control of your destiny in a world that often feels chaotic and uncontrollable. The compound effect of small, consistent actions is the closest thing to magic that exists in the real world. It can transform your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, and your entire life, but only if you're willing to embrace it, commit to it, and practice it every single day. The path to extraordinary results is surprisingly simple. Do the right things consistently over time. The path is simple, but it's not easy. It requires discipline when you don't feel disciplined. It requires persistence when you want to quit. It requires faith when you can't see immediate results. But for those who are willing to pay this price, the rewards are beyond measure. You'll not only achieve your goals, you'll become the type of person who can achieve any goal. You'll not only get results, you'll develop the character and confidence that no one can ever take away from you. So I challenge you today to choose consistency. Choose to be someone who keeps their commitments, especially the ones they make to themselves. Choose to be someone who shows up even when it's difficult. Choose to be someone who understands that small actions, repeated consistently over time, can change everything. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. The person you'll be 5 years from now is being shaped by the habits you build starting right now. Don't let that person down. Don't rob them of the life they could have because you weren't willing to be consistent today. Start small, be patient, and trust the process. Your consistency today is creating your destiny tomorrow, and that destiny can be more magnificent than you've ever dared to imagine if you're willing to do the work day after day without exception, without excuse, and without looking back. The time is now. The person is you. The power is consistency. Use it well.